Hey project professionals, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are studying well and following all my guidelines, which I shared in the earlier video, um, where I mentioned about studying 2-3 hours per day should be good enough if you are already into the field. If there's a gap in your experience, I would say you might have to study a little longer than the usual, about 4 to 5 hours per day. That should be good enough. Today, we are going to cover the integrated change control, what it means, when to implement it, how to implement it, and all about it. So, if you think change control is just filling out the form, think again. It is the single process that prevents the scope creep, budget overruns, and schedule chaos. So, let's start the non negotiables. Now, the integrated change control process happens throughout the entire project. However, it is only truly activated after a critical event occurs. The baseline is established. The baseline is the approved version of your scope, schedule, and cost. Once you have the approved starting point, any deviation, whether small or large, must go through the integrated change control process. Now, what's the project manager's role in the integrated change control process? The primary responsibility for ensuring the integrated change control process is followed uh, belongs to the project manager. We don't usually approve the changes ourselves. That's the job of the change control board, or it's also known as CCB. But we are responsible for managing the process, the whole process. And now you would ask, what is the impact on the scope? So the integrated change control examines the effect of a change on the entire project and not specific to that domain or the knowledge area, but it looks after the entire project. And that is integrated change control, where everything, the entire project has been considered while making those changes or before making those changes. So a change is never isolated. If a customer requests a new feature, like the scope change or something, we must immediately ask, how will this affect our schedule? How will it affect our cost? Um, so, what new risks does this introduce to our project? So, that is integrated change control process. So, the process is rigorous because it has to be. But before we get to the flow, we need to clarify three terms the project management professional exam loves to confuse. So, those are integrated change control, the system, and the change management. So let's look into all of these three, what it means, what are their definitions, focus areas, purpose, and all about it. So what is integrated change control? Like I just mentioned, it is a formal process to evaluate and manage all the changes across the project and not just focused on any particular domain, right? For example, if you have a change in the scope, you don't just focus on the change on the scope, you evaluate the whole process, um, and manage the changes across the project, like how it'll affect the schedule, the other baselines, the quality, risk, and other domains as well. So it looks into the holistic of the project and not pertaining to that particular domain like the scope. Okay, I hope this is very, very clear to you. Now, moving on to change control systems. What is the change control systems? It's nothing but the tools and procedures for submitting, reviewing, and tracking the changes. While the change management is nothing but structured approach to support people through organizational change. Now, what are the focus areas for the integrated change control? The project. That is the scope, time, cost, quality, or anything related to the project. Whereas the focus area of the change control system is the process of managing the change request, tracking changes. And change management is the people affected by the change. The purpose of integrated change control is to ensure the changes are approved, controlled, and aligned with the project goals. It's part of PMBOK, Project Integration Management. Uh, that's the process group or knowledge area we are talking about. You might already know by now if you are following all my videos. And finally, it is whose responsibility? Project managers, CCB board, like I just said in the previous slide. Um, and the stakeholders. While the change control, what's the purpose of it? To provide a consistent way to handle the change request, and it's part of project management plan of the PIMBO. If you're following my videos, you already know the table, all the knowledge areas and the process groups. Although it's part of sixth edition, see how it integrates to each of the knowledge areas or any foundation of project management or PMP. So do you see the knowledge area? The first knowledge area is integration. And next in that, it has the first thing they do is create the project charter, and in planning process group, they create the project management plan. So control change control system falls is part of project management plan, right? And the change management is organizational change or change strategy, often separate from project management plan. Which tools do they use in change control system? It's the change request form, logs, approval, workflows, while the communication, training and support, leadership, all those falls under change management. I hope this is very, very clear. So let's move on to the integrated change control process from verbal request to documentation. So let's walk through the exact steps of the integrated change control process. The goal of integrated change control is simple: to make sure all changes are formally reviewed, approved, and documented. The critical rule: documentation. It's common for a verbal changes to happen. A stakeholder might pull you aside and ask for something new, but your duty is clear. All verbal changes must be documented. You, the project manager, document the verbal request as a formal change request and put it into the system for proper approvals. The five-step integration change control are identifying and documenting it, examining it, reviewing and deciding it, communicating it, and updating the baselines. Now, what is identifying and documenting? The change is identified by anyone, the stakeholder, the team member, or the project manager, or anyone from the team, and formally documented as a change request. And then you examine it. The project manager or a technical expert examines the change request to understand the full impact of all three baselines, that is, the scope, schedule, and the cost, and of course, the risks associated with it. Then you review and decide. The change control board, that is the CCB, a formalized group of stakeholders, reviews the analysis and makes a decision: approve, reject, or defer. Then you communicate it. The project manager communicates the CCB's decision to all the affected stakeholders, and ultimately you update the baseline. That is, if approved, the project manager updates the baseline and all relevant project documents like the schedule and the cost plan. If rejected, the reason is documented in the change log. So, there you have it. Integrated change control is your best friend against the project chaos. It's an always on process that protects your baselines by ensuring every change is analyzed for its impact on the whole project and not specific to the domain. So hit that like button if this breakdown helped you solidify your understanding of integrated change control. Next time we will dive into another topic. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.